Every year, the NFC South appears to be more up for grabs, maybe more so than any other division in the NFL. Now, this is despite the Buccaneers taking home the division crown in each of the last 3 seasons. What about 2024? What can we expect? Well, quarterback Baker Mayfield, he has high hopes and is looking forward to showing what they're capable of this year.
The culture that when I got here, the culture was already set. The standard was here, so all I could do was try and help it out. So energy was high, knowing how we finished last season and trying to build on that. And obviously every year is different, but our expectations are extremely high, and we're excited to get after it because we know the type of group we have. We didn't know that in the beginning of last year, but we know, we kind of know our identity right now. And obviously it's a long season, and we're going to figure out exactly how what plays work for us, and when it comes to that type of identity scheme wise, but energy is extremely high for us right now.
All right, we are going to flip the script here, get Ryan Wilson's take on the over-unders, and then Pete is going to respond. So we are going to start with the Bucs. The win total set at 7.5. Baker Mayfield feeling very confident about the team this upcoming season. How you feeling, Ryan?
I feel confident about Baker Mayfield, and I feel confident about the over on that number. I had him going 10-7. And as you noted, Jenny, they've won that division 3 straight times, and people every season, it feels like in August, try to find ways to make them not win that division. Todd Bowles doesn't care. Baker Mayfield doesn't care. And I think Baker Mayfield is an example of a person who landed in the right spot after being something of a journeyman. I love what they've done there. And it starts with Baker, who got the money he was deserved. Mike Evans is back. They have Chris Godwin. They drafted Jalen McMillan, who's having a really good camp, and I know Pete was excited with what he saw from him. They lost Ryan Jensen, the center, so they drafted Graham Barton to play center out of Duke, and I think that offensive line is going to be better. And this division's wide open, and if that's the case, and you have all your guys back for the most part, starting with Baker, there's no reason they can't do what they did last year. They went 9-8. I gave them another win. They're 10-7.
I'm with them on this. I think, they have a tough little part of their schedule where they have the Ravens, then the Falcons, the Chiefs, and the 49ers. That's going to be a tough little grouping to navigate through, but I love this team. I think Baker Mayfield, the players love Baker Mayfield, and there were actually guys when I was there telling me that they like him more as the quarterback, as a guy, than they did Tom Brady. Tom Brady was tough. He was a little standoffish. What? Yeah. Not as a player, but as
a person?
Yes. As the guy.
Tom
the guy
Brady,
they can rally around. No, not bad guy. Just they like him better. And Baker's a dude. Baker's a dude. I mean, Baker plays with a chip on his shoulder. Guys like that. And
Tom Brady, not a dude.
Well,
we got you cornered, Pete. You're not getting out of this.
I'll tell you exactly what it was. Tom Brady when he was in his 20s, maybe, but Tom Brady became something above that. It's kind of like Taylor Swift when she was in her 20s.
Tom Brady's now an elitist. Okay, we got it.
Yeah, you're different. You can't, believe me, when you're 40, you're not hanging around with 25-year-olds.
We know.
What about when you're 65 like you?
You can hang out with everybody if you're like me.
Hanging out with 40-year-olds.
Yeah, but you can do that. I hang out with everybody. But bottom line is, I think the Bucs have a great mix of young and old. I mean, you look at their veterans, Levante David's still there, Mike Evans is still there, but they add guys like McMillan. They have young players in the secondary they are excited about. Tyke Smith, a rookie from Georgia, they love him. Yaya Diaby might have 15 sacks this year. I love what they've done. Vita Vea's trimmed down. They are the team to beat in that division, and they know it.
The odds do not say that, though. The odds have them around 3-1 to win that division.
That makes no sense to me, buddy.
Falcons, the favorites. We'll get to the Falcons in just a second, but first let's jump to the Saints. Kind of a ho-hum offseason for them. Ryan, what do you see from New Orleans with their win total at 7.5?
The funny thing is, Chris, they were 9-8 last year. They did not feel like a 9-8 team. The Green Bay Packers were also 9-8, and they felt like a team that was surging at the right time while the wheels were falling off in New Orleans. It starts with Derek Carr, and look, he's an average quarterback, maybe slightly above average. But again, in this division, if you can play average football and minimize mistakes, you're going to have a chance to win some games. So I had them finishing 9-8. I don't feel great about it. If you told me 8-9, I would understand that as well. Their defense is going to be pretty good, like it usually is. They have real issues to sort out along the offensive line. They drafted Trevor Penning a few years ago out of Northern Iowa in round 1. He has not worked out at left tackle. They're trying him on the right side. He struggled during the preseason. They have Tully Fuago, however, who they drafted to play left tackle. And center Eric McCoy said he's one of the best rookies he's ever seen. So that's encouraging news. But if they can protect Derek Carr, they can conduct their way down the field and find their way into tight games at the end. And maybe Derek Carr can help you will some of those balls over the end zone to 9-8. But again, I don't think this team is in the same conversation with Tampa Bay. I think they're an average football team, and the record reflects that.
I don't know. I'm looking at them going on that stretch where they win 6 games out of 7, and it begins with a win in Kansas City.
What were you thinking? What were you thinking? They're going to go win at Arrowhead? Yeah?
Mark it down.
First off,
Jeez,
I don't like. There's a lot of things not to like about the Saints team. First off, the coach is on the hot seat. Let's be real. He's on the hot seat. He goes into the season. Ryan mentioned the offensive line. They have no idea how they're going to play that out. That's a problem. They don't have a ton of weapons on the outside. You know, Derek Carr at big moments is a lot like the other guys in this division.
He has that glazed look.
Yes, he has that. He has that look. And then defensively, there's age starting to creep in. You know, Jordan's up in the years, Demario Davis up in the years, the Honey Badger up in the years. You're starting to get concerned about that as well. So I think this is probably a good, probably more wins than I think they're going to get that Ryan gave them, particularly when they go to play the Chiefs on the road.
You felt very confident about that one.
You know what?
Mark it down.
I think, you know what I think happened? I think he was going down picking the games, and he just happened to put a W there, and he doesn't want to change it because he don't really believe that.
Are you doubling down on that right now, Ryan Wilson? Yeah?
Yeah, they're going to win by 3 touchdowns, but let's keep going with this. How far do you want to go?
All right, let's talk about the Falcons now. We were talking about players that are up in age. They went all in on Kirk Cousins, now 36 years old, signing him to a 4-year, $180 million contract. What are we thinking about the Falcons this year? As we were discussing, odds makers say that they're going to have an incredible one.
Jenny, I'm looking at his wins-loss right here. I don't know what's more surprising, the Saints going in and winning at Arrowhead, or what he has the Falcons starting before the bye week. Ryan, what's up, man?
Oh, wait. I need to see that. Brian, explain.
So listen, here's the thing. This isn't about offense. This is about a defense that is not very good on paper, and I don't know if they're going to be very good in real life. That is my big concern. I love Raheem Morris, the hire. I love Raheem Morris, the defensive mastermind, but he's going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting to get the most out of a unit that is not very good defensively. Offensively, there's a lot to love, and I think it starts with Kirk Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins is going to pick up where he left off, and they have all the playmakers in the world. I think the offensive line's a little underrated. I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about not being able to keep up with the other team scoring a ton of points. So I have them going 7-10, and I even, look at that, Pete, I had them losing to the Chiefs in week 3. Imagine that.
A 2-8 start, Pete. 2-8.
But he also has them losing at Carolina. That's because he's still got his allegiance. We'll get to the Panthers in a second, but he still got his allegiance to the little tiny quarterback in Carolina. But speaking of quarterbacks, big game moments, we know what's going to happen for the Falcons. So any game that's tight in the fourth quarter, if you call it a big game, we know what's going to happen to the Falcons. They're not going to win that game. And look, this team is being a little overrated because of Kirk Cousins. I'll be honest with you. Look, Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. They're expecting great things from him. But I agree with Ryan a little bit when the defense has major concerns. And can they consistently rush the passer? That's a big question for him. So I'm with Ryan on this. 7-10, probably about right.
You mentioned the little quarterback in Carolina. That's Bryce Young.
Nice.
Who's taller than you.
Barely.
And I think bigger than you now.
But I don't have to stand in the middle and look over 320-pound defensive tackles to make a throw either.
Ryan, what do you have Bryce Young doing in his 2nd season?
He was giving me a hard time about the Saints beating the Chiefs. I'm fine with that. You know, these games happen. He is not wrong. I'm trying to find wins for this Carolina Panthers team. It's not easy. They lost Brian Burns. This defense has similar issues that it had a year ago without Brian Burns. I think the offense, they went out and signed some offensive linemen. They're trying to protect my guy, Bryce Young, a quarterback. They went out and drafted Xavier Legette. They traded for Deontay Johnson. They drafted Jatavian Sanders, the tight end out of Texas, and also his running back mate there, Jonathan Brooks. So they're trying to make this team better, but it's a lot of squinting to try to find 5 wins after they won 2 games a year ago. I like Dave Canales to hire on paper, and the things I've seen him say feel like the direction you want this organization to go. I think Bryce Young is going to be fine as a quarterback. Is he going to be Patrick Mahomes? No, but I think he'll be serviceable or even better than that. But 5 wins feels about like the ceiling for me, Pete.
Yeah, 5 wins is probably about right at the most. I mean, maybe 4. I don't. What's their over/under? I mean,
5.5.
Yeah, I think they're an under team. I don't think there's any doubt about that in my mind. And again, Ryan outlined a lot of the concerns, but the biggest concern for me, he didn't even outline, is Bryce Young. I don't think he's going to be very good. I think he's an average quarterback at best. And you know, you could talk about the size. really, if you go through the history of the league, and we had this conversation on the sideline in Rochester the other day with Ryan, where I was standing there. You go through the history of the league, there aren't a lot of small guys who had great success playing quarterback in the National Football League. And so I just don't understand.
Who's on that list? Drew Brees?
Russell Wilson, maybe. I mean, you know, there are others, but there aren't a lot of them. And so it's hard to think a guy's going to be an outlier when you picked him first overall. And like I said to Will Levis, I said, I still can't believe somebody picked that guy over you.
Pete loves his Will Levis. Even
Well, I mean, he's a stand in the court. He can stand in the court, stand in the pocket with a big, strong arm and make the throws. The other guy can't even see over the line of scrimmage. That's a problem.
All right. I guess he would know. As what are you, 5'1"?
Okay.
Yeah. No, you know, at one point I was 5'6", but I think as I get older, I shrink.
Ryan and Pete, it sounds like they both like the Bucks to win the division.
Yes.
The Bucks.
Even Ryan.
Yes.
We begin on CBS Week 1, September the 8th, with a couple of big-time AFC East battles, including Tua Tagovailoa and the Dolphins taking on Trevor and the Jags.